A young woman hitchhikes her way to Las Vegas to become a star. Getting into the cutthroat world of dancing, she soon learns how seedy the sex industry of Vegas can really be. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. All right. Showgirls. The film we'll be talking about, in case no one understood the opening there. Oh boy. This is a film I have heard about for quite a while. Long time. And it has this weird reputation. I'm sure when you're looking it up, you're probably surprised where it's like it's so bad, but a lot of people find it so bad it's good and has like this huge following. And while we're going into detail, I can honestly, after watching it, I don't get that because this film was terrible.
Batman and Robin was fun, bad. Doom was not as bad as we remembered. Showgirls is bad. This is our first like truly shit film that I will never go back to. And it's been embraced by the LGBTQ community for reasons. I mean, there's so many better kind of LGBTQ films out there to latch onto, to preserve. This one does not deserve to have that kind of legacy. I don't understand it. This is basically a softcore porno. I mean, this is a Cinemax film released Skinemax film released in theaters. It's NC-17, like the only one ever released in mainstream theaters. And since it tanked so hard, that's kind of died. I don't get it. I think the people who are doing that haven't actually watched it. They're like, Showgirls, of course. It sounds like a great, potentially, freeing, girl power movie. It's not at all. It's a movie about seedy shit, rape and assault and just bad decisions.
Yeah. A lot of bad. I'm not trying to put down like LGBTQ community anyway, but I feel like there's better films. And I really tried to see like why, because like I even have here in my notes, like, this was a box office bomb. It was critically reviled, yet it's become a camp classic. It's one of the most dedicated fans I think I've ever seen on something. Like they beat some of the cult fans are to horror films that I know. It's insane. And I don't get it, because a lot of what this film tries to do to me, it just kind of fails at. Like, and it's from like the fact that the story doesn't really ever really go there, except for one scene that kind of comes out of the blue go there, which was more uncomfortable than necessary. It's just a lot of the acting in this film is bad. I think there was one single person in this film that actually kind of got the assignment, and I'll talk more about that person later. But I feel like there was only one person that knew what was going on this whole movie. And even the whole, like, I know a lot of people hinge on the relationship between Gina Gershon and Elizabeth Berkley. What goddamn relationship? They spend the whole movie trying to fuck each other over, and then at the end are like, well, yeah, I do love you, and I just want what's best for you. I was like, you tried to murder her not too long ago.
This woman has been calling her, Nomi a whore the entire movie, trying to get a rise out of her. Nomi kicks her down the fucking stairs, and she's like, I knew you had it in you, babe. Like, what?
Yeah.
What kind of twisted shit is this?
Yeah, I was like, I don't, like, what relationship are you? There's no good relationship in this film, just in case anyone's wondering. Like, because even, the bouncer, I forget his name, but the guy who was like the bouncer that lost every goddamn job in the movie imaginable was using her. And then, like, when you find out he's getting married at the end, it's not because he loves the chicks, because he got her pregnant.
Yeah. Vegas. This is the most, like, this movie condemns Vegas more than any film I've ever seen. It's like the worst parts of that city are on full display in this movie.
Yeah, which I guess I'll give that one some credit, because I mean, look, I know have your fun in Vegas, but there is a dark side to the gambling and the fact that it is the only state that has legalized prostitution, which personally I'm down with that shit being legalized. It, I don't know why we feel the need to make sex illegal as a job. It's just strange to me. But porn's okay.
Yeah, you can't sell your body unless someone's filming it.
Yeah. But with that said, like anything, there is a seedy underside to it that doesn't always get talked about in movies. So that was nice to see this kind of get tackled. Before we go any further, do you have the Rotten Tomato score on this movie?
Yeah. Why is Showgirls here? How did it make the cut on this prestigious show? Showgirls is currently sitting at a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, 37% audience score too, which means most people, as well as critics, fucking hate this movie. Critics consensus: vile, contemptible, garish, and misogynistic. And that might just be exactly Showgirls' point. Like, and that's another thing I keep seeing. Like, this movie is so sick and disgusting and twisted, but I loved it. Like, I keep seeing that phrase surrounding this movie. Like, it's disgusting, it's horrible, it's terrible, but God, is it great? Like, what? No, yeah. Stop trying to shave against the grain with this thing. It sucks. It's okay to say that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's funny. So some people are gonna be like, "Well, you like things like Hills Have Eyes and Devil's Rejects," and you're right. There's some very vicious shit in those movies, but they're confidently made. I was like, they're good movies. They're confidently made. I can go on about the various things I like about those films. Not sure. I watched this on Tubi because that's where it's available. And it seemed like after every commercial break on Tubi, I was checking to see how much further I had.
I didn't know how long this fucker was. Like 2 hours and 11 minutes. Are you kidding me?
For an ending that doesn't even feel like good to me. Like I was like, I remember watching it going, this is how we're ending. This is the ending. This is shit. What am I supposed to feel?
Millions of people in Vegas. She ends up hitchhiking with the same piece of shit she wrote in with years earlier. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and the fact that they're just hinting that the same exact story will be told when she goes to Los Angeles, and I'm like, that's not an ending. Like what?
Nobody learned anything.
Yeah, I'm like I don't. Oh my god, this This actually kind of leads to my next question. The fact that this is directed by Paul Verhoeven. As you know, the guy's given us RoboCop, Starship Troopers. Despite Total Recall, like there's a lot of like good shit. I know you're not as much a fan of Total Recall as I am, but nonetheless, a lot of good shit. Like the guy's done some bangers. So I don't understand like what happened here.
I honestly don't know. Paul Verhoeven he's a fantastic cult director. As you said, he's given us some incredible films, like Starship Troopers being a personal favorite of mine. And in the middle of all this, he pumps out Showgirls. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know where we'd find that, like where we go to find that. I don't know if there's a documentary made about this movie. But I would want to know, because this won big at the Razzies. Verhoeven won worst director. This won worst picture. Like this was a big bad movie. It completely tanked Elizabeth Berkley's career. I don't know what Paul was thinking.
I don't know, because and this actually kind of leads to what I was wondering about, like your relationship with Paul Verhoeven as far as like his work and his films. It's just like for me growing up, having seen like Starship Troopers and RoboCop and Total Recall, I love all those films. I think they're fucking great, and I've gone back to all three of those films numerous times. I currently have the 4K from Arrow of RoboCop pre-ordered, and I can't wait to see how it looks in 4K. So it's like I've always really liked Paul Verhoeven. I want to see his new film that just came out. I think it's called Vendetta, something like that.
Yeah.
And it just like I had always, like I said, I heard about this film all my life, heard about it growing up, how it's this notoriously just trashy but somehow amazing film. And finally watching it, I feel like I've missed the boat being like 29 and watching it now because I was just like, I don't understand. This is awful to sit through.
You know what's hilarious? They play this movie on like TBS and TNT, but like edited down to the bone where there is no nudity. And like, I just thought like, what's the fucking point? Like, if you're watching an edited version of this movie, you are essentially watching like porn without the sex, which is just terrible acting and no bonus. Like, why would you bother?
I'll say I'll admit it, the tits and ass is the only thing that kept me like going in this movie because everything else was terrible. So yeah, why would I want to watch this on fucking TNT or something? Like, I'll wait till it comes on Skinamax, as you so nicely called that company. The company that HBO owns but will not put their fucking shows on HBO Max. They'll just totally use their title.
I think we talked about that. Yeah, on one of these shows we brought that up. It was just like such a weird domination thing.
You mean to tell me I won't be able to like 3 a.m. watch a Skinamax movie on HBO Max anymore? Man,
it's 2022. Just whip out your phone and watch porn like the rest of us. You don't need to wait for your parents to fall asleep and then you turn the volume super down and watch some softcore shit on Skinamax. That time is long dead.
Yeah, but there's a certain nostalgic quality to that, you know? There's the days when you got the free Cinemax HBO weekend and you're like, fuck yeah. And then like your parents would go to bed and you're like, I'm gonna stay in my room. And fucking you like look ahead on the guide and you'd be like, oh yep, that's when it turned. Yep, uh-huh. And then you watch the fucking Skinamax movie turned down, and the only thing that you could probably hear is the porn music during every softcore scene.
I was such a fucking paranoid kid. I always assumed somebody somewhere in my family was going to be able to, like, track what people were watching at what time, and I was going to have to answer questions. So I never did it. I was too scared.
Oh. Nope, I took that plunge. Worth it.
I had no trouble looking up real porn, but for some reason, the Skinamax thing was like, I don't know, they might find out. I wasn't a smart child.
What if they find out I can't do it?
Oh my God. Yeah, this movie kind of, made me think about all that. Like you as a child, as a kid, as a young man, if you don't have access to porn, you try to find these movies that are just, hardcore R for nudity and sex. And this is kind of, I imagine, like maybe the holy grail of terrible movies with loads of nudity.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I used to do that too. It was like, oh, well, I can't, because like I said, my parents don't pay for the movie channel. So like, it was only free weekends we got them. So if like we didn't get that, it was a matter of like, okay, well, let's see what movies have this, right? So it'd be a matter of trying to find, like you said, these movies that just had as much nudity and sex as possible. And yeah, I somehow missed this one, but I watched in every fucking horror film you can think of that had, tits in it. And yeah, in a weird sort of way, it takes you back to when you're like, what can I do as a young child discovering this stuff?
What's the earliest movie you can remember seeing nudity in?
The earliest movie I remember seeing nudity in? Oh boy. I want to say, because I'm the oldest, my parents are so fucking like extra with me on that. I want to say I may have snuck that fucking terrible sex scene, the Matrix Reloaded sex scene,
as
a kid. I think I want to say that's the earliest I can remember that. I remember being like, I'm going to see this, and yeah. Or no, and then there was the brief glimpses of 300. I remember when I rented 300.
Yeah, I remember that. I watched a bootleg of 300 that my dad had like got at some flea market, and I was watching it with my family, and all of a sudden the Oracle starts dancing around, and a hand flew over my eyes, and I'm like, So I think my earliest was Freddy versus Jason. I watched that at a birthday party in 5th grade. I remember this kid I didn't even like. I don't know why the hell he invited me to his birthday party, but we were like, they were watching a movie and it was Freddy versus Jason. It was the opening when that, Jason's hunting down that chick at the lake. And I was like, this is amazing. And we got all the way to the scene where the boyfriend's like mental hospital friend gets killed by Freddy. And then they turned it off because they wanted to play Grand Theft Auto. And I'm like, I was the only one who was like, no, let's keep watching this. Like, there's tits and people are getting violently killed. Like, I've never seen anything like this. Let's do this. And no one backed me up.
I would have backed you up. I would have been like, oh, let's do this. But I was always seeking shit out like that as a kid, like that, and like Devil's Rejects and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, let me watch that. Put that on.
We're well-adjusted adults, I think.
Yeah. I was also granted there's like zero sex and Devil's Rejects, quite the opposite, but
no, that's not a good base for a child to learn about sex. Devil's Rejects is not the right movie. Holy fuck.
Yeah, it really is kind of funny that, me discovering a lot of my horror, my teenage years, hormonal years was like things like that in Hills Have Eyes, because that's what they were coming out with constantly.
I had to work with whatever my family had on DVD. So I was like, I would comb through and try to find like rated R for, nudity or something. Wait for everybody to be at work. I'd find a spot. I'd have like, I'd stand next to my door just to see like if anybody was coming. And I'd put it on and try to fast forward through the whole goddamn movie to try to find something. I haven't thought about this shit in years. Oh boy. Stupid ass kids.
I remember like never explaining, especially as my parents finally started letting me watch R-rated films, I'd never tell them why I was rated R. I'd just be like, yeah, I want that movie. And they buy it as like a Christmas gift and be like, fuck yeah. And then I watch it at night.
I got Jason X on DVD from a friend for my birthday, and my mom wouldn't let me watch it. And I was like, I looked in the back like, this is everything I've ever wanted from a movie. Like, can I please watch this? And she's like, absolutely not. So I'd wait for her to go to work, and I watched it. I got home from school like 2 hours before she got home from work. So in that 2 hours period, I would watch Jason X.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh boy.
No, mine was whenever we had those HBO weekends. I memorized what would come on at night at a certain time, just stay up on the weekends. That's actually how sometimes I'd make a mess up. Like I remember one time, I'll never forget it. I think it was Cinemax or Stars, whatever. They were doing like porn parodies one night. And I had thought, like I knew it because when I was looking, instead of Cloverfield, it said Cleavage Field. And I was like, that's not Cloverfield. I'll never forget, I legit thought I had hit for something to watch for the night to pass out The Hills Have Eyes, like the 2006-7 movie. I was like, oh, sweet, Hills Have Eyes, I'll watch that, I go to bed. Sweet, I'll fall asleep to this. I click it, and I'm like, something about the quality seems off here. These aren't the actors I remember, and I look, and it's actually The Hills Have Thighs.
Oh my god.
I watched the whole goddamn movie, needless to say.
The Hills Have Thighs. I love how creative they aren't.
It's an art form.
Yeah. I remember when I was about 12, 13, 14, I was at a family member. I'm not going to name who it is, just in case they hear this and are like, what the fuck? I was at a family member's house and I found actual porn and I stole it. I took it. I hid it in a CD wallet I had with me. I don't remember why I had a CD wallet, but I acted like I just stole the fucking Hope Diamond. Like I was standing there, like waiting to leave, hoping nobody would ask me about the CD wallet. Nobody would say like, hey, something's missing. I like, anything. I got all the way home. I hid it in a broken PlayStation I had, knowing nobody would ever look in there. And I would randomly watch it and just be mesmerized. And eventually I got so fucking paranoid, I threw it away. I've never told anybody that story.
Your paranoid mind just kicks in. It's like, no, I can't.
I have no fucking clue why I was so paranoid. Like my family was never like, sex is an abomination. Like never anything like that. I did it to myself.
I had like half expect like the way you make it sounds like being paranoid. It sounds like your family just fucking hops in there every so often. Like, what are you doing? Throws the door open.
Not gonna lie, no one ever did knock on my fucking door when they came into my room. Nobody ever. So there was a little bit of that.
Oh yeah, that's fair then. All right, well, now that we've gone down that memory lane, let's talk a little bit about how this got made.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, this actually went pretty smoothly getting it made. And I was actually like, honestly, I'm more impressed with the talent that was attached to this film and what we got. So we already named director Paul Verhoeven, right?
Yeah.
The writer, Joe Esterhaus, his previous credits were Basic Instinct and Sliver. I know Sliver has become like a lot more appreciated over the years, but I mean, Basic Instinct is like, for a lot of people, for a lot of people, know Verhoeven hit. It's a fucking erotic thriller classic, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Basic Instinct and you're like, yeah, this guy knows how to make a, spicy, steamy thriller. So why wouldn't Showgirls work?
Yeah. Why wouldn't this work?
Joe Esterhaus. Let's see. What else has he written?
You would think that director and writer teaming up again after Basic Instinct would have gold a second time.
You would think. Yeah, his filmography is like, he had a pretty consistent run until Showgirls, and then he had like two more in 97, one of which he took his name off of, and then something in 2006, and then he disappeared.
Jesus. Wow, Showgirls killing a lot of careers. Now listening, right? Not only behind the camera, right? In front of the camera. So as we watch the movie, we know that Noe Malone's played by Elizabeth Berkley. I don't know if you saw it, but the list of actors they had lined up, like they were auditioning. The three that stood out to me that I saw was like Angelina Jolie, and again, remember people, this is like 90, so this is like prime for a lot of these actresses. Angelina Jolie, Denise Richards, Charlize Theron.
As much as I would have loved to have seen them just bearing all and dancing around like maniacs, I'm glad they didn't, because it would have tanked their careers.
This is true, but they probably would have acted better too. Well, I don't know about Denise Richards. Granted, I like Denise Richards, but
well, I mean, she got to work with Verhoeven eventually, playing the Argentinian Carmen Ibanez, which will always bother me.
That is true. I think she would have been my favorite because, admittedly, out of the three, I would want to see her naked the most out of the three I just named. I'll say it.
Watch Wild Things then.
Oh yeah, that's true. She did do Wild Things, didn't she? Okay, never mind.
I don't know. Of those three, probably Charlize Theron.
Yeah, she's a second for me. That would have been nice. But yeah, no, like I said, this ultimately went to Berkeley because Saved by the Bell got canceled. She was free. She was looking to do something different. Boy, did she do something different.
Talk about just an immediate like headshot to the career. Just go from a children's sitcom to this like X-rated piece of shit. And that was it. I think like she's done bit parts, and then she was on Dancing with the Stars, which is clearly a career highlight for everyone involved.
Yeah, well, this happened to a couple of these, like Daniel Fishel, Topanga from Boy Meets World. Mm-hmm. She did like a couple of National Lampoon R-rated comedies, like I think the Dorm Days movies, and I guess hopes of like trying to show another side of her, and didn't really work out. She kind of like disappeared there for a minute, but then she came back for Gore Meets World and has been a little more active again recently.
Yeah, these girl, like, they play girls on these shows and they want to be seen as women by Hollywood. Is that what this is, you think?
I think so. And I think it's like I think for a lot of people it's just like they don't like seeing them grow up, which is weird to me because I'll say right now I had a huge crush on Topanga as a kid, and she's still fucking hot. So I'm more than fine with her being a woman. Like I'd find it a little weird if I'm 29 years old and only getting aroused by pictures of her from Boy Meets World, and
Well,
not.
I don't think I don't think it's about the fans. I think it's about, trying to prove you're adult, like that you're an adult, so the roles start changing that you're offered.
Yeah,
You're not offered.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying like I know from their perspective. I'm saying like I know on the like some pushback comes from the fans. Like you see it all the time with comedians that do serious work. Fans fucking get all pissy and they're like, "Oh, I can't see Adam Sandler doing Uncut Gems." Well, then that's a you problem, dude. Like that's you. Like they're actors and they
Yeah.
grow up. And like you said, these actors are coming from PG. Yeah, they're coming from family sitcoms, but they grow up. They get older. Topanga, Elizabeth Berkley here. They have sex like adults. They do adult shit. Like they're fucking family friendly roles they played for God knows how many seasons on Saved by the Bell. I haven't watched that one. I know Boy Meets World was 7 seasons, but they're not always that role. Like they grow up, they become adults, they want to do adult things like fucking sex and nudity, right? Like so it does like I get on their end like they are absolutely trying to do it and I understand why they pick these projects. I just think between either it wasn't the right project, fan backlash, it always ends up badly for some goddamn reason.
Well, they always seem to go so hard so quickly. I think that's what it is. Like, work your way up to something like this. You don't immediately have to go to full frontal and licking a stripper pole. I mean, you can just, do like a rom-com that's like you saying the F word a couple times. Like you can start small. I think it's the complete shock value that I think freaks people out too much.
True. You're saying do like Christina Ricci or Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah, work your way up there. Yeah. If Joseph Gordon-Levitt just straight up did like a gay porn, I don't think the career post Third Rock would have been so hot.
He had to work for Don John. You couldn't just go to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Which fully admit that's actually not a bad movie. Actually kind of like that movie.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'd write and direct that movie too.
Damn it. As for the other lady, Crystal Connors, the other, I guess, main protagonist of this film, it's really hard.
Isn't she kind of the bad guy?
Yeah, it's really weird. Again, this movie like paints her as a bad guy, and then tries to pull like a whole like 180 at the end. It's weird. Obviously, it went to Gina Gershon, who we see in the movie when she became available. But again, fucking who's who of 90 stars here, people. I got 3 other names I found on this one: Madonna, Sharon Stone, and Daryl Hannah.
Okay. I'm starting to think they couldn't afford some of these bigger names.
I'm telling you, when I saw these names, and this is just what I like selected. Like there was even more. I saw that I was like, Jesus Christ.
Madonna is just sleazy enough to pull this off.
Also known as 90s Madonna, so
that's true. I have such a hard time visualizing a like attractive popular Madonna.
This is
I've only seen like 90-year-old weird Madonna.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think she's that attractive. A lot of people say she's aged fine. I'm like, there's better older looking women out there, whatever. Their 2 names were Sharon Stone and Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah in the 90s, I probably could have pulled it off. Sharon Stone was too big because she did Casino the same year and got an Oscar nomination for that, and that was a big success. So I'm glad she didn't do Showgirls.
Yeah, but Sharon Stone definitely would have pulled this off for sure, especially because this is her teaming up again with Verhoeven after Basic Instinct. So it's like there already was that rapport there.
Well, she had serious problems with Verhoeven that she only recently voiced. I guess the whole scene where she shows her vagina was not supposed to happen. He kind of forced that. So I get why she didn't want to work with him again.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, honestly, I can't think of anyone but Gina Gershon. I actually legitimately think Gina Gershon was the only good person in this film.
I liked Kyle MacLachlan playing a complete piece of shit.
I did okay. I liked those two. I thought both of them understood the damn movie
Yeah.
and went for it. I don't think anyone else did.
Now, Robert Davi seemed to think he was in some like, Scorsese-esque like Vegas movie. So he's really trying in his own weird way. But McLaughlin's like, I'm coming off Twin Peaks. I got a career high right now. Sure, I'll play a sleazebag in this piece of shit movie. Why not? I'll be fine.
It'll be great. Nothing will happen to me. And as far as so that covers like at least a little bit of the cast right there, right? At least the two big names. I'm not going to go into depth mainly because I couldn't find much information from anyone else. But so obviously, like we said at the beginning, this movie is about stripper to an extent strippers. I know it's not actual stripping, but a good chunk of what Nomi does in her first job is stripping. Okay, is stripping. And dancers, right? In Vegas being exploited. So what they did to kind of achieve a somewhat realistic story was both Verhoeven and Estros interviewed over 200 Las Vegas strippers, incorporating parts of their stories into the finished screenplay.
Eesh. Wonder how many of those interviews were private in a hotel.
At least 100.
Jesus. Oh, I can't imagine in a time, in the 90s when Hollywood was untamed, there was no Me Too movement. Anyone could do anything if you were powerful enough. There's no way all those interviews were kosher.
Oh, no way. No fucking way. And even then, like, I always remember, I know this is going to be a weird parallel, but when I was doing like bonus features on the Seth Rogen film Neighbors one day, and they talked about how they got the frat stuff down for the movie, and that's because they interviewed like for prior fraternity members. They said like some of the guys like broke. It was like they were just opening up a fucking therapy session for these guys. I wonder how much of that started to happen interviewing so many strippers, and because if they're incorporating part of these stories into the script, right? And the script goes pretty dark, or at least very much attempts to go dark. How many like women it just became a fucking therapy session of what they went through?
I'm sure a lot. I mean, if you have an opportunity to talk about your life, in a movie that is not trying to glamorize this lifestyle, I think it does by accident. I don't think they worked it really well, but if their intention is to show the seedy underbelly of Vegas and the exploitation of these women, then I'm sure these stories got very personal. Some of them were probably guarded, but others probably, were welcomed an opportunity to open up. I'm sure scenes like, the Carver guy raping Nomi's friend, like I hope that didn't come from a real store, a real place.
Yeah,
but other things like, the bouncer who keeps getting fired and saying like, I wrote that song for you, babe, to like every woman he meets, that probably came out of these stories.
Yeah, that probably. I hope that fucking rape did not come out in those stories because Jesus Christ. But unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised. Just looking at like the Hollywood, the Me Too movement with Hollywood, I'm sure shit like that goes on in the sex industry in Vegas. But yeah, I mean, look, I'll give them credit for like at least saying like, hey, if we're going to do this story, let's talk to the actual people. Let's get some realistic thing. Unfortunately, I don't think it conveys very well into the finished product of the film. So I think there's a lot of issues with like the acting and direction and whatnot that makes it hard to get into. But I do appreciate the attempt to be like, hey, let's get actual stories. Let's really dig into like what goes on in this industry that, for all intents and purposes, especially like, let's just be honest, like just being a dude, because I feel like this probably appeals more to dudes than women, right? They're going to Vegas and I'm thinking like, oh, I'm going to Vegas and fuck these hookers and and go to these erotic dances because the city, even now in 2022, is still so known for that. So like to kind of shine a line and say like, look, like we get you're having your fun, but you need to know like some of the real seedy, shady shit that goes on that you don't see.
Yeah, there's very few women who, want to be a prostitute. most of the I'm sure there are women out there who are like having the time of their lives. They do exist, but that most I would argue most women who end up in that profession do end up in that profession. It's all they've got. They don't want to be here, but they can't do anything else. And that doesn't get talked about a lot especially in film, because this is fun time. You're not supposed to think about the real plight of human beings. But Showgirls tries to, but it doesn't have that balance of real and fake. Like, it wants to be a serious movie, but it's so goddamn ridiculous that you just can't take it seriously.
Yeah, like I said, the attempt is there. The attempt is made. It just doesn't exactly work. And that really actually kind of leads to my next point of that, like, production wise, yeah, I mean, it kind of reflects the movie. Production wise, it apparently went smooth. Like, they had their laundry list of actors they wanted. They got their actresses they ended up getting. They did their research. They shot this film. Post this filming getting shot, post production, is when we kind of get into the fun stuff and like really the infamousy of this film. So from the very get-go, this film gets slapped, like you mentioned earlier, with an NC-17 rating for a lot of erotic moments. Now, to give an audience, for those who may not be familiar with the rating system beyond an R, and I totally get it because NC-17 is a rating that exists but very rarely used. For the longest time, the MPA was trying to come up with a rating above R for stuff that they just thought was too fucking even extreme for R, if that makes any sense. And they went through a couple of stuff. I think there was like unrated first, there was X, but then like porn was doing triple X or double X, something like that. And so they were like, well, we don't want to associate too much with that. So they eventually came with NC-17. The difference, you're probably wondering, like, well, R-rated, you have to be 17. So an R-rated film, 17, you can go see it. If you're below 17, you have to have a parent or guardian. That's the rule, right? Not saying they always follow it, but that's supposed to be what it is. NC-17, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to be 17 years or older. No fucking exceptions. Hence why you don't see it often in theaters, because it does very much limit who can go see that film, because then parents can't pull the fucking like, yeah, here's your tickets I got for you to go watch, Deadpool. Leave me alone. And then they go do fuck off, right? You can't do that when NC-17. It's like you have to be the age. And in this case, I know I had read that the studio had hired extra people to go to theaters and wait at the door to make sure that these people were 17 going to see it. So you can kind of see like why this rating is not ideal for a lot of films. You got to be a lot tougher on it.
That spells to me, though, that there was a certain amount of faith in this movie. If the studio was willing to shell out like supervisors to go to theaters and make sure only people 17 and older were seeing this, then they assumed people were going to fucking go see this.
Yeah.
I mean, but slapping the NC-17 rating on it, and this remains the only major release to date to have an NC-17 rating. Slapping it on is a death sentence from the start. I mean, that's why, the bulk of major releases are PG-13. It's because of the giant variety of people who are going to go see it. And if you're going to just eliminate 80% of a movie watching base, good luck making a profit.
Yeah, and like, look, personally, I'm all down for put whatever you want in your movie. I personally kind of like hate the rating system and stuff like that, and censorship and all that stuff.
Same.
But I get where theaters are coming from with NC-17. I understand it does limit, like, at least in R, you can still, like, depending on how the family is, you can still get families of a certain type into a film. You can still get people to go see it if it's good. And like I said, they don't always technically check for the tickets anyway, so people get into those films all the time. But like in NC-17, it's just not the case. And, like, had this been successful, right, we probably could have seen a shift where, like, oh yeah, we can do NC-17 because it can be a huge success if the film's good. This film, like you said, it's the only one because it flopped so fucking hard by artisans and critics alike when it came out, that the studios turned around and said, no more. We're never doing this again. Theaters like, we're not supporting this. Like, it was a major flop. It was, to their eyes, a waste of everyone's money.
Yep. And this film kind of fell into relative obscurity until it was weirdly rescued by, you know, a weird, the LGBTQ community, and then it's become a bit of a cult favorite in a weird way. I mean, I've seen, Draft House doing showings of this. I don't understand.
I I have a buddy of mine from college who loves this movie, and when I watched it, I'm like, I'm glad you like it. I didn't have to text him, but I was like thinking, I'm glad you like it, but I just don't get it. I don't understand. And it's so weird because you would think like, okay, it has this huge cult following, which means now a lot of the actors are doing great. No, like Berkeley, like I know we were talking about it before we recorded, like or you mentioned earlier, she got dropped by her agent so quick when this came out, and she couldn't find a new one for a while. It took a hot minute.
Yeah.
And since then she's been kind of relegated to like real low budget films or like television films, like so you would think, oh, it has this huge following. Maybe now she also got her career back to go with it. Like what happens with some of these films where like the cult following is strong, so then the actors and directors kind of get bigger and start getting like more loved as they go on. Not the case with this. So it's like the weirdest cult following I know.
Well, someone's got to kind of take the weight of this film and, carry it with them. And it certainly wasn't Verhoeven. He got to do Starship Troopers after this. He got to continue a career. Kyle MacLachlan got to be somebody. Berkeley became the face of this movie, and she absorbed all the hate and the shit, and her career, fell apart.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say it's like dead. She's still doing stuff, but I'm sure it's not what she envisioned when she signed on to do this film after Saved by the Bell.
I wonder if there was a moment on set where she was like, dry humping Kyle MacLachlan and being like, maybe I shouldn't have taken this one. Like,
okay. Meanwhile, Kyle MacLachlan's sitting there going, best choice I ever made.
It's like, fuck Twin Peaks. This is movie making. This is a film. God damn it.
I did it.
Made it by top of the world. Like he just losing his fucking mind.
Oh, yeah, what's even more funny? You're talking about like the cult, right? The LGBTQ plus community that's really fallen in love with this. I found this also interesting. Filmmakers like Adam McKay and Jim Jarmusch have been defending this as a serious satire. So even some filmmakers are coming out saying it's really not that bad. I think even Tarantino defends the movie.
Yeah, but he loves sleazy naked shit. I'm not surprised at that at all. But Jarmusch and McKay, that's a bit Jarmusch especially. I'm like, really, man? But McKay, has kind of he's made his mark on satire himself in recent years. And I guess maybe Showgirls might be like an accidental satire. I certainly don't think that was the intention. But
no,
it might have, if you films are subjective. Whatever you take out of it is great. If somebody gets something out of this movie, I don't want to take it away from them. But I don't see it.
Yeah, look, if you like this movie, I'm so sorry I'm not sitting here defending it like a lot of people do. I'm glad you like it. You like what you like. There's plenty of films I love that people fucking despise. So I'm not in any way downing on people that like this movie. I just don't get it with this one. This one, I really think it's just time. I think like you said, had I seen this when I was like a teenager, it probably would have been that film I'd defend like everyone else. I saw it at the age of 29 for the first time. So it was a little harder for the coming from a straight male right now for the tits and ass to keep me like this movie's great and more of like this movie sucks, but at least this is keeping me awake type of deal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a red-blooded single male. I mean, not single man. I don't know why I said that. Straight man. And yeah, single over here, just saying. Anyway, yeah, and
depressing at all. But go
on. But yeah, the only reason I would watch this again is honestly to see Elizabeth Berkley let it all out. I honestly have no connection to this film. It's nice to just kind of get to be a bit of a pig today, that's kind of the only saving grace of this film. I don't understand the, emotional connection people have to it. The like defending it. I just don't understand that. Like, are you watching the same movie? Because this is it's a sexual disaster. I think I wrote that down somewhere.
Sexual disaster. Okay. Yeah, I just don't get it. Is there anything else before we move on to our awards that you like
I
to
think
touch
so.
on with the movie?
I think we've dug a pretty big fucking hole here, so let's jump in it.
Let's jump in it. All right. So first up for our prestigious award show, the Zack Snyder worst scene. What was yours? I know this probably like this is a film that to me was just right for the picking. So what did you pick?
Yeah, worst scene in Showgirls. That's a funny statement. I had to go with a scene that just didn't make any fucking sense. And it was Nomi and Crystal go to this restaurant, this cafe, and start talking about nice tits. And like, what? She's like, do you like nice tits? She's like, I like having nice tits. Like, what are you talking about? Somebody wrote this. Like, what is the purpose of this conversation? It just was ridiculous. So that was my worst.
And it's in a public place. Like, it's.
Well, then like some cowboy dude shows up. Is like, can I have an autograph? And she's like, sure. And then some other guy's like, can I have one? She's like, not you, mister, and walks away. Like the whole scene just doesn't.
It doesn't, and he doesn't even look mad. He just looks at her smiling. I'm like, you can look angry. You didn't get an autograph.
I kept looking at him, looking at her, and he's just like still trying, hoping if he smiles hard enough, she'll fuck him.
That's not how it does, old Texas man. It's not how it works.
What's yours?
Mine, not to get too heavy, but I put this one because it comes out of fucking nowhere, in my opinion. And that is the rape scene, the Andrew raping Molly. And yeah. I know this film kind of tries to get dark. It never goes that far. Even the club owner that keeps making the weird like blowjob comments. So the girl was like, that's never really explored, right? Yeah, that's never really explored further than his comments. This one actually it shows it. It's fucking out of nowhere. And the whole thing is weird. It's not even like, and actually I put Andrew raping Molly. He doesn't even do it. One of his bodyguards does it, and he just keeps standing there going, fuck her, fuck her, fuck her. And like licks her face. Like, it's so like, look, as someone who, I don't generally like rape in film in general. Like, it's always a hard thing to watch. But like, I have seen plenty of films that have it. I do watch rape revenge films when they come out. But usually it's because I like the part after. Once you get through the graphic part of it, and I understand anyone that doesn't want to watch these kind of scenes, I totally get it. But you see that come up, and usually the female getting her revenge. That's the part I always enjoy with those films. With this, there's no even the fucking scene they try to do as satisfaction wasn't really satisfying to me. It just it comes out of nowhere. It's a fucking to me a shocking for the sake of shocking, not to tell a part of the story that's going to happen later on, and then there's no real resolution to it.
No, it's like it was an idea they had that didn't escape the cutting room floor, but they didn't want to take it out of the movie because it was so shocking, and this movie's kind of built on shock value. And yeah, just Nomi going to beat the shit out of the guy and then just leaving. Like, no authorities are contacted. And remember, the reason she didn't want to call the cops is because the cops would then investigate her and find out about her rap sheet. But then she fucks off anyway. So all she did was ruin her friend's life.
Yeah, because it's like, well, now that he got beat up, what do you think he's going to do to her? Because at the end of the day, that Kyle MacLachlan says it, we have the money to keep it silent because he's a star.
Yeah, he's part of the team. Ugh.
Yeah, so it's like, what did you solve? Like, he's going to come and fuck up your friend. You should have taken your fucking friend with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Good choice.
Something that didn't need me in the fucking movie. Now for Ed Wood, worst line. Our lines. What do you got?
I got two. First one comes from Robert Davi. It's when he goes to see Nomi at the Stardust. He's like, "You made it, kid. Good job," or something like sarcastic shit. And he goes, "Must be weird not having anybody come on you." Like, what a weird, sincere thing to say there, Bob. It's like, okay, that's fucking gross. I love how he kept like threatening everybody with blowjobs. Like the whole movie.
It was so weird. Like they're in those like no minutes. It's all like joking too. Like the one girl was like, "Is he serious?" And then they just cover him like, I can't tell if this meant to be funny or like
this is Vegas. He is 100% serious. Like when Nomi quits, he's like, I'm not hiring you back. Not even if you give me a blowjob. Like just screaming it down the hallway. Like this guy only cares about one thing, clearly. Yeah. That was my first line. And my second one was just so poorly delivered. I couldn't help but laugh. It was during Nomi's first scene as a stripper. And as she's walking through the crowd trying to get dances, some weird fat guy's like, "I want to see your ass." And like, were you not watching the show? Like, you can see her ass the whole time. What are you doing?
Do you not go there regularly, sir? You can see it almost every night.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And just the deliver, like, "I want to see your ass." Like it was that level of sincerity.
Well, and then pay for a lap dance as well, dude. And you'll see it up close and personal.
Ugh. So those are mine.
All right. I got three. My first one is just 2 words, but it's the delivery that just made me go, "What the fuck?" It's the very beginning of the movie when she first meets Molly, and Molly asks her, "Where are you from?" And Nomi, in the strangest way possible, goes, "Different places." Or like the way she delivers it, I'm like, what the fuck? Why did you overact 2 goddamn words?
Smacking down the basket of fries for no reason. Like what? Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. And she acts like she's been asked that all day. I'm like, this is like your first or second time getting asked this. And it's someone that you like ran into. Like you played your head into that relationship. You did.
You were assaulting her car and she was so calm about it. Like if I walk up and somebody's like beating the shit out of my car because they're angry, I'm not going to be like, "Hey, you want to talk about it?" I'm going to be like, "Fuck off." Like, Jesus Christ. It's cops are getting called.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the delivery of that is so fucking strange.
Different places. My God. Yeah.
God. For my second one, it's when she goes to audition for the Mr. Moses, whatever that dude's fucking name was. That's just like telling guys to leave or girls to leave, sorry. And he starts talking about her nipples and he asks her, "I'm erect. Why aren't you erect?" And something about that line comes like he delivers it like it's supposed to be menacing, and it's the stupidest fucking thing I've heard in my life.
That's beautiful. Yeah. What the fuck? that whole character was so over the top. Like, like a crackhead Bob Fosse. Just an absolute asshole.
For no reason.
Yeah. Like I'm running a dance show, so obviously I'm an insecure psycho who doesn't understand human nature. Like, okay. I haven't seen this before.
And obviously doesn't get laid willingly for him to be the way he was with those women.
Oh my God.
And then for my final line, you actually kind of said some of it when you're talking about Robert Davi, and I put exactly what he said. "You're not allowed back, you hear me? Not even if you give me a fucking blowjob." Something about that line, I just went, why does that matter? Why does the blowjob factor into her getting her job back?
I feel like the application for employment at this place is one question: will you give me a blowjob? Yes or no?
There's so many lines of his I wanted to put, like when he randomly walks up to Tiffany, when he shows her into the room for the first time, he's like, "If you want to last a week, yo kid, you'll blow me." I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
Oh boy. Yeah, he was so unintentionally funny. I was wondering, like, and his character never goes anywhere. He just shows up again, like, "You made it, kid." Fuck off.
It, yeah, his character is supposed to be like the character we see like is hard on the main character, but then is happy when they succeed. And we get like maybe 10% of that with him because it's mostly just him yelling about wanting a blowjob.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right. Now this next one should be fun. These are all gonna be fun. The Steven Seagal worst performance. Who'd you hate the most?
Easily Berkeley.
Okay, good. I put her too. So
Yeah, she is fucking horrendous. The way she dances is so obnoxious. It's not hot at all. It's ridiculous. It's like she's spazzing out.
it's the least erotic thing I've witnessed in my life.
She's popping and locking for nobody. It's terrible. I agreed with the bouncer guy. Like, yeah, you need lessons, girl. Somebody's got to teach you how to dance.
Yeah, it's bad. And like her line delivery, I know we kind of talked about different places, but it's like that throughout the fucking movie. I'm just like, your delivery does not match the fucking emotion of the scene. It is awful.
Well, when you go from fucking Saved by the Bell to this, like, you're gonna get what you pay for.
Yeah, I guess. Well, since we both agreed on that for understandable reasons, let's see if we diverge. Diverge on our last word here. The Michael Bay first filmmaking decision. What do you got?
All right. So I had a few things written down here. I had the pool sex scene for a bit because I'm like,
I had that written down. I didn't pick it though.
Like, who made this decision here? Like, really? She's gonna fuck Kyle MacLachlan in a pool, and not even that, but like freaking like super fuck him.
This is the thing. At first, it's actually kind of fine. I'm like, okay, cool. The moment she starts doing that, and if you pay attention, like where her like lower half kind of disappears into does not match where that man's dick should be, unless he is like the hungest human being on the face of the planet. Like, unless he has horse cock going on, like she's way too high and just flopping like a fucking like some fish out of water. Like,
well, I highly doubt Berkeley was fucking Dale Cooper's 2-foot cock, so that probably isn't what was going down. It's just a trick of the light. But that was one of my picks, and then just the abrupt ending. But honestly, I had to go with my gut. The film is too goddamn long. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes. It could be an hour 20. It does not need. There's so much unnecessary shit in this movie that could be cut for time, and nothing was. So that's the worst decision, I think, is just letting everything make it to the final cut, not trimming this thing down.
That's fair. Because like I said, I know like so with TV they do commercial breaks, and I was like checking. Like after the first hour, not even before the hour hit, I was checking like, oh, this is bad. Oh boy, we still got a lot to go. So yeah, the time could have been trimmed. For me, I'm a little, I guess, like I said, I had some stuff right now, like the pool sex scene and a bunch of other stuff, but I ultimately went with what we were talking about earlier, and that is Berkeley's fucking dancing. I don't know if he decided not to do lessons, if he was so just done with it. He's like, yeah, sure, that's good. Let's just move on. But I don't know why. It's terrible. Like, look, you're selling me on a film that, yes, it's showing the seedy undersides of this industry, but you have them dancing, you have them doing their performances, and those are supposed to be sultry and sexy and erotic. I felt none of that. The only one that pulled it off to me was like Gina Gershon when she gets introduced and she does her scene. I legit had a moment of like, God damn, like that was probably the only moment where I went like at like full blooded, like fucking, dude moment of just like, oh wow, okay. But anytime Berkeley dance, nope, never once felt that.
Fair enough. Yeah, good choice. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So with that, I know we've let's to wrap it up. And the main reason we really do this is silver lining, find something decent. And I know this one's probably gonna be the most difficult in our short 3-episode run right now. But what were you able to find?
Honestly, it wasn't that hard. It's basically porn. That's my silver lining here. Like, it's hot. I'll give you that. Like, if your internet goes out and you're feeling that itch and you somehow have a DVD copy of Showgirls, it'll do. That's my silver lining. There are moments in this movie where I was like, damn. And again, I reiterate, like, you can watch this movie edited on TV, and like, why the fuck would you ever do that?
Yeah, you're really doing yourself a disservice on that one.
Yeah. So there it is.
Mine, see, I had a feeling that we would do the same thing because I actually had that written down at first. I was like, no, because I know he's probably going to do it. So I decided to dig a little deeper, and that is Gina Gershon's performance. Between her, like I said, like we talked about earlier, her and Kyle MacLachlan, I think the only two people that like understood the script, understood the movie they were making, and actually gave us characters I was like somewhat invested in. So I personally really like Gina Gershon in this. I get why she's kind of had like a following, especially I think in the LGBTQ community thanks to this and Bound. I get it as far as her performance. I totally get it. I think she actually does really good in this movie.
Fair enough. I don't think I was focused enough to really identify a good performance after seeing so much shit all at once. But I commend your ability to figure that out.
I really tried. With that, let's go to our next segment, huh?
Why not?
The one that's a big surprise for me every time. Our final segment, I should say, and that is what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Well, I'll tell you what's in the box. A lot of undue praise. Showgirls is sitting at a 3 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, which is fucking crazy.
Wow, that's like high praise compared to some of the 2 films we've already done on here.
I have 5 reviews here, and none of them are negative. I could find barely any negative reviews of this thing, and I don't know if they're all kidding. I'm sure some of them are, but they did rate them well. So here we go.
Oh boy.
Number 1 from Eli Hayes. Guys, we got to toss a monkey scene in here somewhere. 4.5 stars. Yeah, randomly a bunch of monkeys just attack the Showgirls before a show. It's like, why?
I feel like that's exactly how the pitch meeting went too. So we're doing the monkey scene? Yeah, of course. And no one fucking went and said like, "Man, this is a bad idea."
I feel like somebody on set, like the prop guy or Verhoeven, was like, I don't know what happened, but through some happenstance, I've got a crate of monkeys here. I mean, it's free. We could use them, appeal to the monkey community. Who knows? And Verhoeven's like, fuck it. Set it up. I don't know. Number 2 from Zara. I have seen God, and it's the pool scene in Showgirls. Five stars.
That's a hard argument to counter with. She's not wrong.
Yep. Also, really cemented my my own atheistic thoughts. Like, if that's God, I don't want to join that religion.
I don't.
Number 3 from Kins E. This was a weird choice for family movie night.
Oh god. I had a thing of Dr. Pepper in my mouth when you said that.
3 stars.
I love the idea of like going back in the day when there's video stores, right? And someone's like, hey, let's go rent a film for family night. And that was the one time you got told, like, you know what, we can do a PG-13 R-rated film for family night because everyone's of age, right? We're all good, we're all adults. And you're like, oh, I've heard about Showgirls. It's by that guy that did Starship Troopers. It's gonna be fine.
I'm just picturing, like, last family movie night was RoboCop, and you had such a great time. You see Paul Verhoeven's got a new one out, but also it's about dancing, so maybe mom will like it. And you rent Showgirls. And the rest of the night just unfolds on its own.
Plot twist, your mom does like it, and you find something out about your mom that night.
Oh my God. This one pissed me off. This is from Madison, number 4. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand Showgirls. 4 stars.
No, you
Fuck
don't.
you, Madison.
I literally figured out how it's about the sex industry as I was watching it.
Somehow, I think we were able to unravel Showgirls. And I reiterate, fuck you.
Yeah, look, straight up. If you're ever, I know I've joked about being like, oh, you just don't get it. I make that joke, but if you're legit one of those people that's like, this movie's just above you, or you need a high, and like you're one of those fucking film snobs, go fuck yourself. I hate you guys probably the most.
And also, is this really the hill you want to die on, Showgirls? Of all the movies that you could, put an intellectual gate behind, this is it.
You don't want to use like a Wes Anderson film or P.T. Anderson or
Jesus
any
Christ.
other like fucking big name director like that. Hell, even Tarantino. No, you want to die on the Showgirls hill. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you are a super fun person, Madison. And the final one from Ely, an absolute batshit glittery train wreck of a movie. And I kind of loved it. 4 stars. What the fuck? What is it about this movie? Where is this praise coming from? Did I watch? Is there some magical director's cut out there y'all are watching? Because this is bullshit.
What if it was actually Showgirls too?
There is a sequel, by the way. I think it's called Pennies from Heaven, and it follows some character named Penny, who I don't even fucking remember.
It's the one they get told if she wants to stay working there, she'll blow Robert Davi in the week.
That's Penny.
Yeah.
I hope the whole movie is just like a build up to that blowjob. Just her trying to figure out, like, am I going to do this? I need this job. And he's like, you better do it. You got 48 hours.
I just want Robert Davi to keep popping up, reminding her, like, that blowjob. I'm
But,
waiting on it.
He gets progressively angrier at like an hour in. He's like, blowjob, like screaming it around a corner. You don't even see any other lines of dialogue. You see his head pop around. He just screams it. She jumps. I'd watch it.
I actually would watch that. It'd be funny. Every time she comes in like the room to go get her paycheck or like ask a question, he's just like looking at her like, is it blow? Like he's starting to unbutton, like blowjob? No. Fine.
Jesus.
He wants his blowjob, but he's not going to force the blowjob.
Not initially, but he is going to. By the end of the movie, he's like, I've had enough of this shit.
Get on your knees.
I hired you for one job, and you know what it is. Oh God, this is fucked up, but hilarious. So that's what's in the box. I don't want to open this one again.
No, I wasn't expecting there to be that many good reviews. Well, wow, okay. As much as this film has sucked, I have to say I've had fun with this episode.
Yeah, the episode's always fun. The movie, not so much.
Well, I'm also, with that said, I'm also happy to get this film off my own personal watch list now for a lot of reasons. Actually, more reasons I thought I would have. But before I start getting into next week's episode and what we're doing on their shows, if you want to follow us on social media, just look up Filmgazm Productions on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, we have Twitter. I almost forgot that we had Twitter. Also, shoot us an email on filmgazm@gmail.com for any recommendations you have. And if you'd like to donate and support us, hit us up on Anchor. And don't forget, we have a website called filmgazm.com where you can check out reviews, trailers, articles. Austin has done a lot of really good articles on there if you read his stuff. And also all of our episodes. Now, with that, yeah.
We also want to point out we won't be reviewing any of the films from this show because, frankly, it'd just be beating a dead horse. So if you want to hear our thoughts on these movies, listen to this show.
Yeah. All the other shows, we try to do good about reviewing the thing because the other shows is like really 50-50 on what our opinions are going to be. But this one, not so much. If it's something like this, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just discuss it on the episode, not beat it into the ground. Put my review as well. But yeah, now that that's out of the way, for this show next week, before I get into the other shows we got, we will be discussing the comedy film adaptation of the Dukes of Hazards. Dukes of Hazard. Hazard.
Just
The
one
one
hazard.
starring, yeah, the one starring Johnny Knoxville of Jackass fame, which is timely because the Jackass Forever is supposed to be coming out. Sean William Scott, who I think is one of the most incredibly underrated comedians in my fucking opinion, and also the scene that was seared in all of our young minds, thanks to Jessica Simpson.
Yeah, this is new territory for me. I never watched the Dukes of Hazzard.
I have, and that her scene has not left my mind since I saw it as a child.
Nice.
Yeah. But with that, that's something on the show we got. We got some other stuff coming out, Connor, don't we?
You do
We have-
indeed.
On Oscar Sunday this week, we have 1973's Day for Night. And then we're still up in the air on Snake Preview, so just tune in on it's Monday. Yeah. Monday when it comes out, you'll find out what we got. Yeah, it's kind of some sparse weeks coming up, admittedly. So up in there. And then join us next week on Filmgazm to talk Starship Troopers.
Yeah, Verhoeven. We're not done. Didn't plan that, but works out pretty well.
It
So,
does, because I know that we both love Starship Troopers. So
yeah, I will defend that movie to the grave. Starship Troopers is a masterpiece, and I can't wait to talk about it on Wednesday.
yeah, I'm looking forward, especially after seeing this. I'm looking forward to that. So until then, if you decide to pursue a career as a dancer in Vegas, maybe be careful who you work for at the very least, or just try to do something else. Look at your other options. But with that said, see you next week on Beyond the Bad.
Don't forget to give Robert Davi his goddamn blowjob.
Thank you.